Welcome to episode 108 of A Master's Degree in Rolling Terribly. I'm your host, Eddie, and joining me this week, a man, a beetle, a cutter of decks, an invisible woman, my friend, your friend, and also our birthday boy, Gaz. Everyone say happy birthday, Gaz. No?
No, none at all.
Happy birthday, Gaz.
Thanks and hi.
Hi.
Yeah, what an intro. That's
Yeah.
it. Cutter of decks, I think was the. I did actually remember that where I think you were shipping your deck around for someone to cut it, and I just reached out and grabbed it. Is that on? Is that on the replay? Have we got
Yeah,
that
it's
on
on the
there?
playthrough.
Nice. I'll have to look that up.
I'm
So
trying
yeah, no,
to
it's good to be back.
trying to palm it around because you mess me up and Mark's messing me up and Phil won't touch it for goodness sakes and it's doing my head in. I'm trying to get him
No.
to touch it and then you jumped in.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been trying to get him to touch my deck for like weeks, months even, and he just refuses to. Like, I actually feel like if we don't stop this, he's probably going to stop coming because he's just going to be like, "You're bad." AMD luck is going to transfer onto my life in general, and he just doesn't want any of that.
No, I actually think that we could probably put our AMDs, like, okay, not all at the same time because that would be too obvious, but put his AMD, hide it. And then I'll put my AMD where his deck is meant to be. He'll shuffle it and get it ready. And before we start, I'll be like, oh, wait, that's mine. And I'll grab it. And, yeah.
Good point, actually. Good point. Well, I wonder if he'll hear this before we start tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. That's a good
That's
point.
it. Maybe we'll try it.
Well,
See if he
I'll go
picks.
first. I'll try and see
Okay.
whatever he says something. I just want to also, hi listeners, everyone, apologize for last week. Look, we had a bit of a break, and I just realized that sometimes it's a bit tricky to, I guess, get that message out to just say, hey, we're going on break this week for whatever reason. When life gets hectic and all that kind of stuff. And I suppose that's what social media is for, but we're both pretty bad at using it and all of that. So just know that there will be times, and I think we've been pretty good at making sure that we release something every single week. But there will be times where, something will happen. And next week, for example, we've got Game Mania, which is really exciting. And if you've been with us for the last 2 years, you will know what that is. It's the weekend that we all go away, big group of us, and get an Airbnb somewhere, and we bring a whole bunch of board games and we play for like the whole
4
weekend,
days.
basically.
Yeah, and don't sleep.
No.
It's the time once a year where I realize that not having enough sleep is only an issue if you need to go do a task that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Because I can go stay up until 3 in the morning, which isn't really that late, but say 3 in the morning, get up at 9, not even that, 8, minimal sleep after 2 days, and just start playing board games and drinking Pepsi again. And I'm like, this is fine. Like, I could completely do this. If I had to go to work, I would be like, nah, not a chance.
Yeah, if
Right?
there's any form of responsibility. It's the weekend where we can be kids again. And I think that's probably, it takes us back to those 90s sleepovers. Bringing computers, LANing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And no responsibilities, eat crap.
Yep. Being fueled by caffeine and bowl pizza, right?
That's
and then
right.
you're like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just let's get the games going.
Exactly.
So yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
What
do we got on the episode this week, Daddy?
We got some catching up to do. So we've got our agenda. Oh, there's a fly right in front of me. Oops, I just hit something. On today's episode, right after
I couldn't see anything then, so you better put in some kind of digital fly, otherwise people are going to not believe you.
On today's episode, right after our dirt sheet, oh god, I feel so out of practice. Scenario 14 and scenario 17. So we did 2 playthroughs over the last 2 weeks. So we're going to go over both. I think that's only fair, so that we can give our thoughts on how they kind of went out and if we like the actual scenario design, all that kind of stuff. And we'll go into amDirt Diaries, and I think that should be enough for this because we are playing catch up, basically.
Yeah, it should be enough for people to listen to. So it's funny. I think I said the comment when in our playthrough for scenario 14, either before, during, or after. I can't remember. But when you just said that again, I had another subconscious shiver run down my spine. I think I have been so like traumatized, and we've talked about scenario 14 being so bad in Frosthaven, right? And for
Yes.
those who haven't somehow have not heard us talk about scenario 14 or whatever, you got to this point, good on you. But it's just weird that when you said 14 again, I just had this unconscious like, oh God, hang on, why do I hate that number so much?
I think that's really interesting because that's the way you, I guess, make that connection to scenario 14. Whereas me, I'm so, because of the organizing of the pod and the titles and knowing all of that kind of stuff, all the numbers just mean like the scenario kind of things. I don't make that kind of connection. Whereas you do make that kind of scary connection with scenario 14.
Only that's the only one I know by number. Like all of the other ones, like that's like
That's a
that
good point.
classic like Gaz thing. Like in the Discord, some people are like, "Oh, I did scenario 62," and then like
Yeah,
in
and my head is
spoiler
immediately
tag,
like, oh, I know which one.
and
And
I'm
then
like, I
like,
have no
someone needs
idea
to
what
help
you're
Gaz with
talking
this.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so spoiler tag it for Gaz. That's the one where you have to do X. I'm like, oh, totally, I remember that. Like, but no, so that's but 14's the only one that's really burned in my brain.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, is this 14 going to be like the other 14? I guess we'll have to find out.
it's a mystery.
So, on a dirt sheet, it finally happened, guys. And I really wanted to talk about it last week because I had it in my notes for that particular episode that we didn't end up recording. But we finally had a crash. And it was very, very interesting that, I mean, we didn't have a meltdown. Oh, when I say that, I didn't have a meltdown as I normally would have. And it was kind of like, I'll just put up half a playthrough and I'll just fill it in with a little video at the start and all that kind of stuff. But now I know that I can fix crashes, apparently. I'm Hacker Man.
And just to be clear, he's talking about like the recording crash. He didn't crash his car. He didn't like work too hard and then like crash his life. Like
We
it
finally
was
had a
the
crash. I'm replaying what I said in my head right now. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so the recording of the playthrough 2 weeks ago, just the computer crashed at an hour and or so too. Maybe I think we were like halfway through the first room, end of first room, right?
Yeah.
Which we just were like, I guess we'll reset it and we'll just carry on and just hand wave that first one. But then turns out I didn't know you're Elite Hacksaw. You're like, I don't know,
Yeah,
what
I'm Hacker
Acid
Man.
Burn or whatever the guy is from the Hackers movie.
I haven't seen it. No, but it's
Wow.
it's it's reassuring to know that we can still keep it because I think that was something that I usually stress about as we're these videos that we're putting together. At least the raw footage is probably about 4 hours long, and when I'm getting to that 2.5 hour mark, I'm constantly checking the other monitor what we've got the actual recording on, and I'm just seeing if it's still running.
Mm.
And then we heard the sound effect go off, and it was like, oh no! And the second it happened, I knew that it won't save it
Yeah.
completely, and it'll be a corrupt file.
Well, that's what's weird. I think in the world we live in at the moment, because everything's so cloud, like posted, right? Like in work, I work with Google Docs and like Google Sheets and a whole bunch of shit like that. That you don't have to save it. You never have to save it because it's always just constantly being saved. So like my laptop could explode and I'd be like, oh, I probably lost the last like 5 seconds of work, but other than that, it's fine,
Yeah,
right?
it's true.
This is one of those instances that I know, and I get a little bit stressed about it, and I go to suggest sometimes like, hey, should we stop it? Because for those that aren't aware, because I wasn't aware before this, recording through OBS, you hit start recording, it doesn't save the
Oh, it's
file.
the file type that I've selected.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
the file type that you've selected doesn't save that until you actually click stop recording, right? And so you need to click stop to save, and then you need to click start again. So I mean, one thing we should probably be doing is starting and stopping at regular intervals.
Yeah, but I
But
don't want to do that
hey,
because that gives me
uh,
way too many files to put into
that's
the
it, and it's
video
just going to
editing thing.
crash, right? Like,
I
so
know.
it's good to know now that you can recover that, but it does seem very archaic. Like, oh no, I just lost my essay that I was working on for my English, like, class due tomorrow that I was doing in Word Perfect, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So
You know what would fix this completely? If we live stream the playthrough.
yeah, totally, that would make things better. I mean, we'd probably get cancelled in within an hour,
Do you
but
reckon we would?
like. No, I don't think so. We're better now. I think we're deliberately better to make it less editing for you.
Yeah, I haven't actually had to like bleep anything that's been highly inappropriate. I think everyone's on good behavior, but I'm wondering, yeah. I think that'll be
No,
actually
because
really cool.
as soon as we went live, someone would just make a joke and accidentally not realize that they can't say that.
Mm.
and then we'd be like,
How do you
"No,
fix
there you
that?
go."
Do you just go back and
I think
press
you just
the oh shit button?
how do you fix what? No, you just get cancelled.
I don't know,
That's what you
but
do.
I suppose there's a delay, right? There's a way of going
Well,
back in there and fixing it. Sorry, this is not meant to be a streaming.
a technical stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever had any illusion that we were more prepared than we say we are, this is evidence that we're not.
Oh, that's good. That's a good conversation.
All right, let's get into it. What's on the dirt sheet?
That was part of it.
Oh,
The
the
the, the, the
crashing
crash
thing.
that happened. Although, yeah,
Yeah,
we
you were
took
very
that.
calm. I'm very impressed.
Yeah,
You
that's
you were way more upset when your wolf died in the scenario, the heist scenario that one time. That you were real tilted
I'm so
compared to the
glad
fact you just lost.
Our Frosthaven campaign as a playthrough would have been just peak entertainment from just the highs and lows that our group experienced.
Yeah, yeah, but like then you lose 2 hours of recording, and you were like, oh, whatever, we'll just start it again, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. You just took it in your stride.
Uh, Dashade also a thing. I did want to touch base on Game Mania just very quickly. Are there games you're excited to try or play or whatever? Well, that's coming there. We're going to be playing TI4. I think we've organised a session of TI4, Twilight Imperium 4th Edition, which is going to be
Hmm.
really fun. Guards of Atlantis 2, which is the MOBA Dota style team based, MOBA game, which is incredible. And I just feel like it's a game that we have barely tapped into.
Yeah, 100%. Bonanza. I'm keen on playing some Bonanza. Um,
Yes, we can
what's
dedicate some time to Bonanza.
um, what's that dice game we played at the end of last year?
Strike.
Yeah, yeah, I want to play that again.
You like
Um,
little cute party games, don't you guys?
so I don't really care what we play because like you only have good games and the people there are so much fun that I just want to play games and hang out. Like I just have a great time. I know it doesn't really matter. So like I know that's a cop out in a way, but but the moments the key things that I always remember out of all of the game manias are the times where I'm so it's deliriously tired, right? And I don't drink at these things. So I'm not drunk, right? But deliriously tired. We're playing some stupid game like Strike, right? Which when I say stupid, I think it's hilariously clever. I think it's an amazing game, but it's like stupid in the realize that we just got 8 people together and hired an Airbnb to play Strike, right? Like throw dice at each other.
Throw
But
dice into a bowl.
yeah, that's it,
That's the
right?
game.
But the moments like are hilarious, and there's always a game or multiple games and moments that happen through Game Mania that I'm just in hysterics, like full belly laughing and just love it. So that's the when I'm looking forward to those moments, and those moments generally come at those type of games because they're the ones that aren't TI doesn't get that, right? Because it's like it's like 8 sweaty people sitting around working out how they like win a game, push like battleships around the thing. So I'm looking for those moments.
Yeah. Oh, well said. No, really well said. I'll bring Worms because we haven't tried that. Worms will be good. Yeah.
Yeah, forgot about that. Yeah, yeah.
Worms and maybe Dead by Daylight again and whatever. And I was wondering, maybe I should bring just a camera or something and I'll just play, like if I do bring Strike, we'll record a Strike game or something like that. I think that could be fun. Just something dumb like that.
We could get like a sponsored Strike stream.
To the Strike, the Strike International with a
Is it like
$2 prize
is
pool.
is that like Hasbro? Like,
I actually have no
or is it?
idea. It really shouldn't be manufactured as a game because it's literally a plastic bowl and a whole bunch of D6. Like that's it
So good that
for like
for
50
those that have
bucks.
not played Strike, okay, get a Guild gaming group together, get in a good mood and play this game, and then tell me that you didn't have just stupid fun.
It is stupid
Uh,
fun. The other thing is Easter Monday double header. So it's the Easter weekend as of it's Easter
mm,
Sunday today. And we're going to be doing, I think, 2 scenarios. I think you guys are coming over early and we're going to do 2 scenarios, which means 2 playthroughs, which means 2 videos to be put out before Game Mania. I don't think that's happening.
I don't think that's happening either. Or we just fail one many times.
I still don't know if I can get that out in time.
No, that's true.
because we
Yeah,
leave on
like either way,
Thursday.
you're not getting a 6 hour. Yeah, yeah, that's true. I guess you're just going to take the week off work.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fair. That's
no
fair.
worries.
All right, let's recap scenario 14. Oh, did you get the shiver?
Yeah, always. I just feel like that's that number now. We'll have to try it in another versions that don't have the word scenario in front of it and see if it's the number or if it's a combination.
Now, this was also like nearly 2 weeks ago for you. Or for both of us.
Mm,
Sorry. I don't know why for you it was 2 weeks ago and for me it
for me.
wasn't. But
Yeah.
uh
Is this the cultist one?
yes.
Oh,
That's right.
yeah. Look at me remembering.
There you go. There you go. And I just want to say that before I do city and the road events, the reason I'm still including them, not that anyone's asked, but the reason I'm still wanting to talk about them with you is because I'm finding the writing, especially in Crimson Scales, for them to be really good.
Hmm.
It's like really good. So no, I'm actually excited to get these all the time. It's almost like when it's the Force Link scenario, not Force Link, sorry, linked scenario, because Force Link was in Frosthaven, I think. I want to always go back and
Hmm.
do more events.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I agree. The events have all been really interesting. So.
And you have no hope in remembering these.
Look, I think I'm probably got a good chance to say it was something to do with the sunken market, and I feel like Sheila as well, and like that's
That's
probably
cheating.
80% of
Yeah.
it. I think I actually remember the one from last week. So when we get to that one, maybe I'll have a
Yeah,
guess.
okay.
But
All right. City event 26. While visiting the old scales. What? Is that a thing? Oh, it is. Okay. During a visit to the old scales, we came across a heated argument between a human in an exterminator gear and a harrower outside a shop. The human
that's
is
right.
hurling slurs, and the harrower's increasingly agitated responses. It's a series of hisses and chitters. It's not entirely clear what sparked the dispute, but tension is rising fast, and we're forced to decide whether to intervene, and if so, on whose behalf.
Mm.
Which was really cool. Mr. Harrower, what did
I
you
think
want
the
to do?
party pointed out that was Harrow, and it seems like really weird if I walked up to the Harrow and said, "Your people have no place here." Like,
Uh,
so we sided with the Harrower.
100%. And it was another scenario based, well, reward. I should use the word reward loosely. But
Yeah,
during the next scenario, all characters are immune to muddle. How
pretty cool.
unique is that? Like an event to give you an immunity to a condition just
Yeah.
in a scenario that you may not even have a situation where you can be muddled. I thought was interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I think it plays in that space of something that is cool and could be ridiculously powerful depending on the scenario, or it could be completely useless depending on like the monster type and scenario.
Correct.
And so I think it's fine, right? Like, I feel like these ones we've had a couple where we didn't really make use of them, like your double movement, I think
Mm,
was one of them, and a couple other bits and pieces. And I feel like in those instances they were kind of a bit meh, but I don't ever think we felt like I don't know, ripped off.
mm.
Like, if we got a reward, like, okay, we used to get morale rewards all the time in Frosthaven when our bucket was full. In those instances, at some point, I was like, this is dumb. And I feel like we're not actually getting rewards at all. At least with these ones, it's there, and it might not align to the scenario very well in some instances or what we want to do, but it could if you wanted it to. Like, if you wanted your double movement, or if you wanted I don't know, there was another one where we got to go forward, I think it was at the start.
Yeah,
It's just
okay.
stuff like that, right? Like, you could make use of them. They're not giving you something that's actually useless, right?
Yeah.
So I
I get
like
what you
that.
mean. I get what you
Yeah.
mean. It's just morale was useless for us, but it may not have been for another group. It may have been like the
Yeah,
holy grail for someone else, right?
100%. I'm not talking about in general that the reward is useless, but I like that the experience we're having is, even though we haven't been able to make complete use of it, like, oh wow, this has been what a first move we can do now. It's still been like, oh yeah, well it's there. I'm choosing not to use it. That's fine.
Hmm. Sorry. Then we had a road event 14. Oh, there's that number again.
Really.
Yeah, it was actually road event 14.
Um,
In
some
the
kind of
oh yeah
market
no, in the dead
merchant.
of night we arrive at a fork in the road, guys. To the left lies a shadowy
Uh,
forest lit by glowing bioluminescent bugs underneath the canopy, and to the right a more direct dirt path, though it's riddled with thorns. Both routes promise their own kind of trouble.
yeah.
Take the forest path, take the thorny path.
So I think I mentioned this in the playthrough. I don't know. But This 100%, I think I highlighted this as just the same as the other one that we got, which was like left was the thorny brambles or bad forest, and right was something else. I don't know. Anyway, we chose right on the last one, and we missed out on XP, and we had to. No, we chose left on the last one, and we missed out on XP, and we ended up with wound or something like that, right?
Hmm.
So when we were picking this one, I'm like, I have a feeling the left is going to be the right answer, just because the other one was right, and this is a flip of the coin because you don't really have the information to go with it. But I wasn't going to push for that because I'm like, that's also a dumb thing to just base it on. It's like metaing it.
Yeah,
And so Mark made the decision because we said that you're the chieftain, so you do it,
that's
right?
right.
Um, but interestingly enough, how did it turn out?
Oh, well, we got 2 damage and wound, um, which makes sense because we went down a thorny path, and the
Yep.
other way was 6 XP.
There you go.
Hmm.
So yeah,
So
it's an
there's 2 of
interesting one.
these.
Yeah.
Because these go back
That's
in the
good.
deck, by the way. That's why I'm questioning. This wasn't the exact one we had last time, and we just picked the
No,
same path twice wrong. Okay.
no, this was the opposite because I definitely know we picked the left way last time. So, when I say definitely, I'm pretty sure we did because
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, but these are interesting ones. So I guess that they come back and they're there to make sure that the deck never runs out, right? And once you know the right answer, you can kind of farm them for something.
Yeah.
So I
Is
don't
it
mind.
red berry, green berry?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's essentially red green. Yeah, because I don't think there's any signposting or nothing that I saw that really lets you know which way to go.
I can't remember the other one, so I don't really remember the
I can't
description.
either. But yeah, I think after, yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. All right, scenario 14, Cultist Cave. At the Sleeping Lion, a singing bard is shitting everyone, and Sheila advises that there are a bunch of cultists doing culty stuff in a cave outside Gloomhaven. 3 ringleaders are doing evil things. Please go kill them. Watch out for undead stuff. That's literally what she said and what was written in the book, which I thought was brilliant writing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and if you haven't seen the playthrough, at least go and watch the start explanation
Oh,
that
for
where
goodness
Teddy reads
sakes.
that out and sings the song that the bard sings. So
Uh, I really am
we
not a
we
fan
need
of
a
the singing
Patreon.
bard and what's her name, Salandra, and now old mate Athen, who's next in the next scenario. Yeah, it's great.
You know in Dota how they release those
Voice
voice
packs.
packs? Yeah, but they'd have like the commentators do them
Mm.
rather than like there'd be actual voice actors. I would pay money for the Deddy voice pack that would go as a overlay through like what's that called? Fortella?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you reading out the scenarios to us and doing the voices because I think that you do an amazing job.
Hmm. That's why
So
you're
I think we
laughing all
need
the
to.
time.
I'm laughing like with the moment, like it's like when someone does a funny voice that like I'm getting the message of the scenario, but I'm also getting entertained by your performance. So
Mm. Yeah, thank you. That's
I won't say I'm
encouraging. It's
laughing with
weirdly
you because I don't
encouraging.
think I don't think I'm laughing with you because I don't think you're laughing, and I'm laughing at you, but I'm laughing at you like how a comedian like wants you to laugh at them, right? Like they're putting a performance on. So
That's what it is. Thank you.
yeah.
All right. The goal was to kill 3 cultists. The map looked like, I don't know, 4 tiles separated by doors, long corridor. First door was locked, but then it unlocks when we kill everything in the first room.
Yep.
And it just happens. It unlocks and opens. And then the monsters that we were greeted with in this scenario were deep terrors, living corpses, and cultists. We haven't actually seen cultists yet because they weren't in Frosthaven.
Mm.
They're OG Gloomhaven. And the only thing I remember that people complained about was that on death effect, which I thought was really unique and really cool.
I had completely forgotten about them, honestly, until they were in this scenario.
I'm probably with you on that because it was until I saw them, to set it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. There's these things. There's
Funnily
specials.
enough, sorry, just funnily enough with the
Mm,
rules, the amDirt crew, which is the I don't know if you saw this post today,
where
but the
where
group.
we are the amDirt crew, dirt crew.
Oh, am good. Yeah, am good. Sorry, it's been a while. The am good. So there's a group of people playing through Crimson Scales, kind of alongside of us, and they've branched off into different people. But yeah, they're kind of posting on our Discord. They played this scenario yesterday or the day before,
Mm.
and misread rules. And this door that you're speaking of, which is locked in the first room, for them it wasn't. So
Ah,
they just ran through it.
They got a different one. That's cool. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. But they, I think they got to the point where they were like, okay, we'll restart. Um,
How does that make sense, guys? Not that I want to sidetrack too much on that, but how does that make sense? Like, at least Winey, I know that he watches the playthrough anyway. Like, how would he, like, because they would have watched it before they played it, right?
I don't know. Maybe they didn't. Who knows?
Oh,
Look, they're way better at rules than us, so I'm not going to throw
that's
any shade
true.
at
That's
all on
so
them.
true.
But I like to think they did it in our honor of like misreading rules and doing things stupidly. And I think they actually made the same mistake at us on the second go that they could actually restart. They're like, no, that's booked. We can't fix that. Um, in that when you kill everything, the door automatically opens. I think we made the mistake as well. We killed everything and then we moved through and realized that, okay, actually, no, it should have moved forward. So we gave them that turn. They did the same thing. They were like, oh, we'll rest and we'll go through. I'm like, that wasn't supposed to happen. So they fixed it as well, I think. So
Mm.
interesting. This scenario has just created so many rules issues. That's not very hard.
It's good though that it's kind of like it's got the rules there. It's good that they've tried to make the scenario different than every other scenario, like with the door opening and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
That everyone just glossed over and went into auto mode. So yeah.
Yeah.
The only special rules tweak with this was that cultists don't summon living bones; they will summon living corpses, and we experienced those last week when
That's
they
right.
were kicking the crap out of you when you got stopped in the doorway. So the general gist of this scenario was the first room was really lovely. That was probably the most chaotic. Was it? I don't think so. It was actually fairly straightforward, really. It was just everything die, right?
Mm.
And then door opened, and we didn't really get a chance to set up or anything like that because we didn't know. And then because we didn't have to restart it, and then we got to make our way down the corridor, and it was packed, really, really packed. Lots of fun spaces, and fun like tight spaces. That's something that I'm noticing a little bit more in our playthroughs now is that there's a lot more obstacles and crap everywhere, and we don't really have anyone to deal with that because we got used to, at least I felt comfortable knowing that I could blow up an obstacle when I played the Vortex. And our party seems to be getting more and more like full.
Yeah. I think so. And we also had, I mean, not only could you blow up obstacles, but you could teleport. So you weren't getting stuck as often. So one less person getting stuck kind of made things work. And I think I was on the Galaxy where I was kind of attacking through people a chunk of the time. So that also meant, so it's like, yeah, I agree. The party we have now feels like it's way more congested in getting around than it did maybe in the first 10 scenarios.
Yeah. And then we got stuck in this corridor because it's anything that spawns anything, and deep terrors are always the turrets that sit in the back. They're the ancient artillery, except they've got that fear factor of we're not going to necessarily do a ranged immobilize or blow you up really like with a massive attack, but we're going to spawn more deep terrors.
Yeah.
And something like that, it's amazing how when we can see that kind of card get pulled, it can stop all of us in our tracks. And that's situations we ran into, I think, in the past, with the chain helm and all of that, with the dragon scenario, where we had that dragon one. We all got stuck in there because we didn't want to. It's the skipping rope thing.
Yep.
Yeah, skipping rope thing. What else happened? How did we clear through this?
I jumped into the back
Oh, so good.
and wow,
It was.
did lots of retaliate and drew the fire for heaps of stuff. And then you came in and killed most of the things.
Oh, well, you were meant to do that, but I think you had a null -2 draw on a 3 thing attack or something like that, which was really cool.
Yeah, I got whacked real hard because like it turns out living corpses hit very hard. I didn't realize they did, but they drew lots of big attacks and I took a chunk of damage. And then I think the turn I was, it was lined up where it was kind of going to work out fine because you disarmed one and blah blah blah, and I needed to hit something for 1 damage, and I think I was doing it must have been an attack 2. So I was like, okay, well, I think I had advantage as well. I must have, or was it 2 attacks?
No, I think you were
Why did
hitting
I?
3 different things. You missed on one, you attacked successfully on the other, and then you just needed to get a -1 or
That's
anything
right.
on the other one. And you put
Yeah,
your
that's right.
-2 because you couldn't miss on that last attack.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the one I missed on didn't matter. because that didn't need to die because it was going to go later and someone else could have dealt with it. So I missed on one that it didn't matter, and then on the one I was like, great, well I can't miss this one, so I will deal 1 damage. Oh, I forgot about the -2.
You were on one
So
health,
yeah,
it had retaliate, you burn a card.
that's
It's
right.
all
Yeah,
coming
because I
back
was
to me
on.
now.
Yeah, yeah. So it wasn't even the fact that I didn't kill it, and so someone else didn't have the chance to kill it. It's because it had retaliate because it was a deep terror. So yeah, dealt the 1 damage to or 2 damage retaliate to myself and lost a card because of it. I'm like, oh, and I think I'm pretty sure that one card I had left was my burn heal card,
Yeah.
and so I was just like, oh, this went from like, oh, this was an interesting move to this should be fine to this isn't fine to this is real bad.
Isn't that amazing?
So
How
I
the
love
butterfly
it.
effect,
Yeah.
of those decisions.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, interesting. But it was all good. This isn't one that we had to survive, was it?
No. No,
Yeah.
we just had to kill the three. So we killed one in the corridor, and then we assumed that there were going to be one behind each door, and it turned out there were two behind one of the rooms. And look, as the person who was setting it all up, two maps were together, and I was like, oh, there's also one in that room that I was planning on going in anyway. And yeah, go in one shot, which felt good. It felt good after all my misses that I could actually set up a guaranteed kill. That was perfect and lots of fun for me, considering, I've been on a bit of a null streak with some burn cards, which just suck every week without fail. And yeah, you guys cleared out the other two. Well, actually,
See, this
no,
is
because they just poured out of the room.
yeah. The monster placement in that second room was really weird because it was a large room, and so again, just to paint the picture for people, this scenario is set up with like one medium-sized room that you start in, you got to kill everything, then a corridor that goes kind of snakes around a little bit, and there's one room off to the side on the right as you're walking forward, and then there's one room at the end, right? And there's a whole bunch of monsters between all of that. We assumed, and we're playing with 4 people, so we had the maximum amount of cultists we needed to kill, which was 3, right? So we assumed there would be, well, there's one in that main corridor, and there would be two, one in each of the other rooms, so that you had to go into both rooms. But we kind of skipped the door on the left, went to the back of the corridor to kill everything, and you were like, well, I'll go in this room and just insta kill whatever's in there. And Mark and Phil, and then me limping over to the first room that we kind of had already passed, will jump in here and do it.
Mm.
But then the layout for that room, which is on the side, which is quite a large room, was that it had like deep terrors at the back and maybe the sides, a bunch of living corpses on the sides as well, but the two cultists were like right in the middle. And so I think the first turn they just moved forward and then they moved forward again and we just killed them. Like they were basically at the front, which was really weird that they were the first things there. I
Mm.
don't know if maybe if they were back at the back, then the room becomes impossible. I'm not
Well, I
sure.
think that would probably be what it was, because it was a bit of a gauntlet. Like the very first room, you have to kill everything in that
Mm.
first room, and there was a whole bunch of stuff in there as well. The corridor itself is pretty messed up, especially with all the living corpses and the cultists and the deep terrors. And then at least making it doable by having them in I guess, a better position. Otherwise, yeah, if they were in the back of the room, there's no not that there's no way, but that just becomes so ridiculously difficult.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe it is adjusted that way because you have two monsters in there that can summon.
Mm.
So there's a chance in that first room you get bogged down, right? Because they just keep summoning and you have to fight more and more and more deep terrors. And then there's also the chance in that corridor that the cultists pull summon. And I think the summon on the deep terrors is range 6. So again, there's this chance that you probably end up fighting 50% more monsters than are on the board,
Mm.
just with slightly bad RNG. So yeah, you're right. Maybe it's balanced that way. So if that does happen, then you have an out. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of what it was. So it kind of was a bit anticlimactic in that regard. But yeah, you did get to murder something.
I did get to murder something. It was a nice little setup. It was fun. It was fun to do. I don't think I'll get to do it very often, but like from that kind of setup. But no, I will enjoy that one as a good memory.
Hmm.
Let's just jump straight to our thoughts. Thoughts on this particular scenario, guys. Did you enjoy scenario 14?
Way, this is my favorite scenario 14 that I remember. By like a very, very, very long margin. I'll probably only remember this one because it's called Scenario 14.
Mm,
It was fine. Like I think it was enjoyable enough. I like the idea of having to kill everything in that first room, and I did kind of like the gauntlet of the puzzle of the gauntlet of that corridor.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, maybe again, thinking back now to your point, it did make it more enjoyable to be able to then just kill the cultists in the other one and end it because we kind of the hard part was the first two rooms.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, I had fun.
yeah.
I thought it was good.
Being an assassin, like I would consider these ones like assassination style ones, where if you got to kill a certain amount of targets and that's about it. And I think that like this is the most recent one in memory that I can actually think of. I can't really think of another one that we did. I'm thinking of like scenario 15, which for Gaz was the one where the dude was up in the rafters and we were killing, like that kind of an assassination target one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And we had to kill three cultists in this. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because it looked harder than like it could have gone real bad. And it was
Mm.
looking like it was going to go real bad, especially when you started doing your thing. But we knew that we had to then just kill, like, we've got the burst damage, right? But yeah, it kind of has a threatening look with really, really good mobs. Like, there's a lot of respect for some of the OG Gloomhaven monsters that we're seeing again.
Yeah.
And I'm more talking about the living corpses as well, because they're not this big bag floaty, what do you call it, like a bag of numbers. They are kind of threatening, especially it kind of shows that on their stat card because they've only got like a movement of 1, I think. So yeah, just moving walking tanks that hit hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. So no, it's the assassination style ones are few and far between, but I think when they're done well, they're good. And they're also it's interesting because they're one that really loses their. I feel like if you know where everything is,
Mm,
so like let's say you did this and then you failed, you had to do it again. I feel like the doing it again part is it's really just mathing it out and going like, well, how do we plan this so that we just kill everything?
it's
Like,
a good point.
yeah, which probably happens to a lot of scenarios, but because there's a key target, once you kill it, it's done,
Yeah,
right? It makes it interesting. So yeah, it's definitely a cool objective type
yeah. What about
that we
Ollie?
don't see very often.
Does he like this?
If he survives the first room, he's probably fine because he probably also joins the log jam of traffic that can't get anywhere.
Yeah, if he survives the first room.
Yeah,
If he
yeah,
gets the aggro of a living corpse or two, I think that it's curtains.
yeah. 100% he's in trouble if he pulls aggro, or if he jumps onto a deep terror and just starts killing himself.
That's true as well.
So yeah, like I said, survives the first room. I think he's fine.
Yeah, because he'll get stuck with all of us. I'm so glad that we don't have him to worry about in a lot of these scenarios, just due to the tight corridors and the door situations we've had, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Well, last week we did scenario 17. This is more recently. And we're going to recap that one now. So we had City Event 33. While wandering,
This is the old dude that we rescued, came back, right?
yeah, the sinking market.
Oh.
No, he was there. We were in the
Oh,
sinking
okay.
market, remember, with everything else.
Hmm.
A gruff voice stops us in our tracks. It's a man we once rescued from a cave. He thanks us for saving him, remarking that without us, he might still be trapped. Or worse. Now he's thriving, clean boots and all, and asks how life's been treating us since. And we can say that things have been going well. Or we could say, remind him. It doesn't tell us what we say. Just remind him he still owes us for the rescue.
Yeah. Yeah. And this, I think we had a conversation at the time of the playthrough that this is
RPG
one of those.
tropes.
Yeah, yeah. Where you're playing one of those RPGs where it's like pick your response, and the response is a lot more harsh than the thing that you picked. Like, hey, subtly remind him that he hasn't given you anything, and then your response is like, hey, you know, you owe us. Otherwise, I'm going to kill you. And you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa, whoa. We went from like a 2 to an 11 there. We didn't really want to go up that high, but we did choose that one.
We did choose that one. And we ended up gaining. I mean, he felt right. He felt bad, basically. It was
Yep.
like, oh
Because he
yeah,
was kind of
you
stooges.
know, my shiny boots, you know, maybe you guys can have those, etc. And we're like, oh, boots, I don't really want those. And then it said gain one collective lightweight boots, which are the OP boots that Gaz has been rocking, previously owned by Mark, and now we have a second pair, which I'm not even sure if we should have two pairs because there's not two
Who knows?
pairs of everything in the game, but we now
Who
have a
knows?
second pair of OP
We have,
boots.
we do, we do, and luckily, as again in like the tradition, you refuse to buy any items.
And that
So
that is not tradition. I buy items.
in tradition of the character you're playing,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a
yeah,
little scavenger. I don't need items.
that's
And
true.
then he gives me boots. So now I have lightweight boots on my Vermling Bleeding Claw, which is amazing. +2 and jump.
Yeah,
Pretty good. We can now
uh,
do it together and do a high five in the air.
we definitely could. We should do a episode on the lightweight boots.
Just a whole episode on them.
Yeah,
Then we had Road Event 61. We encountered the remains of 3 large Inox and found a glowing pulsing power core among the wreckage. We recognized it was dangerous and beyond our ability to repair or carry safely. We had to choose between option A, touching the core, or option B, carefully burying it. And I think that you made some really good, I think everyone actually was starting to talk about this. Mark said foreshadowing.
yeah, because we did. We found orbs in Frosthaven, right? So, yeah. Well, naturally, it looked really dangerous, and so we wanted to touch it.
Or Phil was like, embrace, like, you know,
Yeah,
totally touch it,
I
touch
don't.
it.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, he was looking at before we even realized what was going on.
So the response from this one, if you remember, was without discussion, each character must choose secretly whether to pick up a poison token, a wound token, both, or neither. When characters reveal their chosen tokens, each character gains the conditions they selected, and if at least C conditions are gained this way, so in our case 4, all characters gain strengthen, otherwise all characters gain model. What are your thoughts on something as out of the box as that?
Again, I think it's kind of cool.
I think
None
that's
of the
really cool.
impacts are game breaking, so whether you win it or lose it, I don't think you feel bad. But I mean, it's also one of those ones that feels like it's completely within your group's control. Because if you ended up with muddle, well, you could have just taken more things, right? Like someone's going to be to blame.
I think, yeah, I think it's really cool. I think it definitely involves embracing it, not metagaming it too much, and you know,
Mm.
1 1 1 1 or anything like that. Just yeah, and we ended up with 8 conditions basically. But
Yep.
well, sorry, we ended up with 12 because we had strengthen as well, which was great. So no, I think it was a really really cool way of just spicing it up and giving you all a decision that wasn't collective,
Mm.
which I thought was really cool. I think I wish there were more events that encouraged individual decision making.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. There was a couple in Frosthaven that came through that way, but I do like the ones that allow everyone to kind of pick their own path, and whether it's a group reward or an individual reward, I'm not sure. So yeah, I do like that. You probably don't want them too often, but they are definitely cool when they pop up because it mixes things up a little bit.
Definitely does. I want to see them way more often.
Okay.
Scenario 17, Orb Extraction. So remember Athen, the charming elderly gent at the sanctuary? We finally got his book. This is back when we were smashing boxes. Flush with success, decided common courtesy was optional and basically kicked his door in. He was predictably overjoyed and gave us a proper dressing down like we were kids caught stealing biscuits. After we mumbled apologies, he grumpily took the book. And there was so much text in this, but I'm thinking this is like that big storyline, Crimson Scales kind of thing. So trying my best to follow what's going on with my voices as well. The Book of Nequa, I don't know what that is, but he wanted that. And that's apparently got to do with elemental stuff, right? It's apparently a very important book. We used the brief moment he wasn't actively scowling to ask about the Orb of Embers. He vaguely pointed at a chart, mentioned the Copperneck Mountains, warned it'd be heavily guarded, because of course it would, and crucially told us our frosted crystal and this orb absolutely hate each other. Mentioned don't let them touch. Things get violent. We grabbed that nugget of wisdom, thanked him profusely while backing away slowly, and got out of there. We found a cave near the mountains. Our crystal started doing its glowy, vibraty thing, and I guess that's the target.
Mm-hmm.
So in we go. Scenario is complete when the goal treasure tile has been looted and all characters occupy a starting hex. Dun-dun-dun. Scenario
Yep.
45, the heist.
Yeah, which for those that don't remember, we had to complete 3 times because we failed
Yeah, I think.
twice, or did we fail 3 times?
Well, you'll have to go back and listen to that episode to find out. But I think
I
we
think
had to
two
play it three
episodes, right?
times. Pardon?
Because we had to do it. We had to spend 2 weeks on it
Yeah, we did.
because then we had 2 cracks at it, and then that we had to come back the following week to try and do it. So
That's right. Yeah, that
like,
was that. But that one as a whole was a similar concept of you need to, here's your starting location, go and do a thing, either bring something back or kill something, and then, go back to the exit basically.
yeah.
And the special rules for it was right at the very beginning, one person's carrying the orb of frost, and that was you,
Mm-hmm.
and they get retaliate 1. And the gold tile, which is somewhere in the map, is the orb of embers, and whoever picks it up gets +1 to all their movement and attacks, which is pretty cool.
Mm.
The map itself is basically 4 tiles. It's a one-way kind of wrapping corridor all the way around. And the first door, I wrote down the first door is unlocked and unlocks when we kill everything in the first room, but that is incorrect. That is probably the last scenario. Monsters, we have earth demons, flame demons, wind demons, frost demons, and Savas ice storms, which, by the way, we put in the meh in our tier list, by the way. I'm not sure if they would still fit there or not. So what was the gist of this scenario? How did that pan out, guys?
Oh, I can't really remember other
That's right.
than like
No. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I was going to say, first room, flame demons, and one Savas ice storm. You
okay,
absolutely shit all over them and had them for breakfast because for some
right?
reason, flame demons with your retaliate and your +1 and your muddle.
That's right. Yeah, okay. Because even though they're ranged, I found a way to muddle them so they didn't leave.
Yeah.
And then because I had natural 1 retaliate plus I played a couple of retaliate cards. Yeah, that's right. I was able to do a chunk of retaliate in that first round or 2. So
Because elites have like 5 health and normals have 3.
yeah,
And
something like that.
like really high shields, but because you can really control your retaliate, you blew them up basically.
Yeah, that's a good point. I completely forgot about that. I was trying to picture the first room and how it all went, but that was interesting because that kind of went really well, and then the back half of that room was really challenging because again it was so congested,
Mm,
and we had to kill that Savas Ice Storm, or whatever they're called, who was actually surprisingly tanky.
yeah. Oh,
So
yeah, because he's got 1 shield and he's got that other ability that makes it 5 shield or something. And they've got the other ability that makes it 2 shield and all the allies get +1 shield. And ridiculous. And then he's summoning other, demons. And because you blew up
yeah,
the flame demon so quickly, he was just in the corner and then everyone was just waiting to make their way in, because it was so tight.
yeah, I think he summoned a bit. He healed himself a bit. He shielded up a bit. You got a bit unlucky, I think, on one of your draws. So I don't think you missed necessarily, but I don't think you did as much damage as you wanted to. And so it just became this awkward moment of like, well, we can just stand here, I guess, or we can jump over you and open the door, but then we don't know what's in the door. So it was like kind of like those weird moments you get to where you've got 4 cards left, right? So you got 2 rounds, and you go, okay, do I go and open the door? Knowing that this turn probably I can't do anything because that will be my turn opening the door and standing there. And then I have one more turn with probably, I won't say the worst cards, so probably not your best cards because you left them to the end, right? And then I'm going to rest, right? I was like, oh, and I really want a long rest because I got all these items I want to refresh. So
Mm,
I kind of was like, I don't know, I'm not sure.
mm. And
And I
then
think we were all kind of like that.
it was a bit like that. Well, the 3 of us were. Mark was stunned in the corner.
Yeah, poor Mark. Like, or just shout out now because his experience didn't improve through the whole thing. But because it was crammed, there's also a treasure chest in the opposite direction. Because I think the first room's like a T shape.
Yeah.
And you were on one end of the T, which is where the door is and the Savas is fighting him. Phil had come up, was also fighting him. I was just hanging out, not doing anything. And Mark's like, oh, fuck it, I'll go get the chest. Now, the chest had two stun traps in front of it, and he didn't really have any jumps. So he's like, I'll just stun myself through it. That's fine, don't worry. But he did that, and it was fine mostly, except that put him like 2 turns of movement behind us. And so I think the problem was is that we started moving through, and so he was spending all these turns trying to catch up. And even though he's got really good movement because he's got the mount ability, right? Sure he gets the free movement, but I don't think he has heaps of like move my mount as well cards.
Mm.
So well, he's got some, but I think it works in this space where he's really good tactically maneuvering around the room to get in position, but I don't think he's necessarily like heaps better than normal characters are, just moving long distances really quickly. Because if he jumps off his mount, right, then he loses all those benefits and he
That's
has to
true.
spend probably a turn to get back on if it catches up. So it's probably like a weird situation unless he plans his cards really well to get the free movement and then use a card to give him extra movement to hopefully catch up. So
Yeah.
whereas I've got to move 4 and I can make it move 6 with jump with lightweight boots. And I'm like, well, I'll just go wherever I want, right?
Mm.
And that's not massive. Like I'm not unique, but a lot of characters have a move 4 or 5 that they can do with a jump, especially with an item. So he kind of got caught out a little bit.
Yeah. He did.
But he did really well to have an impact, and we won't talk about the end by the end. And he also seemed to take it quite well through the scenario. But yeah, I feel that because I was just watching him going like, yeah, I got stuck in a room once.
Do I need to remind you of all the scenarios where he was just like, oh, you guys, do I have to win this again for us? Okay.
Yeah.
He's allowed to have one bad one, right?
That's true, but like, and okay, you are 100% right in the balance of things, right? Like, if there was a ledger, he definitely is not even almost square in regards to got to have an awesome time versus kind of got a bit shit on and didn't get to do much, right? Like, he's definitely ahead on that.
Yep.
But I just don't like I know it sucks to have one of those games, and
Totally.
I don't like seeing people have those games if they do. So, but yeah,
No.
that does make sense.
So, well, that was you the week before.
Mm,
Yeah. And
yeah.
I had my Miss Invis one as well. So we've all gone through that.
You miss one attack. Like you have
That
like
was
all of your
that was the
cards.
first round Invis one. That
Yeah,
one
I
that
know.
absolutely set off like the worst chain of events for the rest of the
Yeah,
scenario and only to miss or fail on that attack again. So yeah, we've all had in
we've all been
relatively
there.
fast succession
Mm.
a couple of poo games.
So, but yeah. Anyway, we cleared up that room. We got into the next room, but Mark was a fair bit behind. He spent a while trying to catch up, which is a bit shit.
Yep. We got in the second room. I head down towards the back to deal with an ice storm. I'm in there for ages while he's doing one summon after another, making a frost and then making a wind. They've only got 2 summon cards out of their whole deck, one for frost and one for wind, and he made both. Great,
Yeah.
fantastic. As I'm wailing on this guy, every time I decide to blow cooldowns and all of that, he's got his shield up. I null on him with one of my attacks. I'm having a great time. Mark, also, don't forget at the beginning, you've got your new Bless Bees card, your Bless
Oh, that's
Colony.
right.
And because Mark's on top of his ally in the same hex, he's filling up his AMD with all these blesses, which was really cool. We were waiting for him to come charging out with all of these crits in his deck
Yep.
later on to come join us. And then Gaz was doing tank mode again, like against the wind demons and the frost demons.
Yeah, I was really worried there. My life was getting very, very
He
low.
did
So
really well. Like the
lucky.
item usage, the ward usage on a lot of the stuff. Like there was literally, I don't know, a few weeks ago where you couldn't even survive 2 hits from whatever.
Yeah.
And
I
you
think
know,
yeah, I got the timing worked okay, and I think I've got a like the new card that I got actually. So the one that does the top places a bee colony that anyone who starts their turn next week gets blessed. So I did use that in the first round pretty effectively considering we got stuck. So I think him and Phil both like filled their boots, or whatever the saying is. And then the bottom of that card though is a heal 5 self. right? Which is pretty good. Like considering I've had zero heal cards basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I do get poisoned, but that's okay because I have another a card that takes that poison off. Um, but yeah, I was able to kind of stack a couple of heal effects. So I think I dropped quite low after a few rounds of tanking, but I was able to boost myself back up. Basically while Phil kind of killed everything. So yeah,
Exactly.
it worked. It worked out well. Like it kind of did stop the damage coming through. So
That's
it
right.
was all right.
And even Mark comes in finally towards the end while I'm spending 3 rounds trying to deal with this ice storm and his pets. And he comes in and hits it for 6 or something stupid like that with his donkey, or I can't remember what. But yeah, last room basically we open it up there and we can see it. We can see the goal, and we've got the two, hex shaped tiles put together, and there's spirits and demons. Sorry, earth demons and the earth spirit. My god. And a whole bunch of hazardous terrain and flame demons. And there's the final goal tile. And also throughout this scenario, there's stun traps everywhere. So we had that to navigate. And with a bit of me taking a bit of a dicking and Phil coming in to help me, and then Mark, and we're helping Mark on his donkey with some kind of journey to get him to Mordor so that he can collect this thing. And then Gaz goes in there like with his light weight boots and tanks the 3 flame demons again and absolutely murders them again. It was like, this is what I'm saying. It was so good because you just continued to do it and really nullified them, and you basically did it almost single-handedly, which was
It would have
phenomenal.
worked a lot better if they hadn't drawn their place a trap card. Like, what's with that?
I, they never did that, I swear.
I don't feel like that card was made up just for that one instance, right?
Is it a Frosthaven thing? Did they not have it in
Uh,
Frosthaven?
I don't know. I look. I'll be honest. I don't think we fought Flame Demons very enough in Frosthaven for me to remember that they were in it. We had a
It's a
couple of
good point.
instances of them, but I think Frosthaven tended to lean more on like
Chaos.
they were in Gloom, yeah, Chaos Demons, Ice Wraiths, those kind of new ones that were there that were really tricky. Because like I remember them in Gloomhaven being real hard. Flame Demons, that is. Like they were dangerous because they hit hard, they did AoE, they had range retaliate. If you didn't have pierce or pure damage, they're almost impossible to kill. And I just know in certain circumstances it was just like, oh no, they're there. But I feel like in Frosthaven there was never really an instance where I was just like, oh no, not flame demons. It was almost like, oh, damn, they're annoying, but okay, we can get through them. Oh no, it's ice wraiths, or oh no, it's chaos demons. Like, so it's kind of like the oh no, it shifted almost to
Mm,
be a harder bad guy. Um, in this, they seem pretty dangerous, and I think I just got really lucky with like kind of being able to dish out some pure damage. Um, but in saying that, I had no idea they could drop a trap. Like, because I did the same trick. I basically put I put a card up that gave me like retaliate, range retaliate, and I jumped next to them and muddled 2. It's just like, well, 2 of them are going to kill themselves on me. This is fine. They were like, no, we're not. We're putting traps everywhere, which then booked Mark because he couldn't get through because they were like 4 damage traps or something like that, and he was going to just like insta die. I don't know. It was just a whole, but they played that really well. That was the best card they possibly could have played.
it's just interesting because it was never something we thought about.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at, I think Algos Archers were a good example in that they don't have, and I think Dwarf put it as that rest card.
Mm.
I would say there are a lot of enemies that don't have that rest card. It's just 8 of attack variations. I'm thinking, what do you call them? Ancient Artillery. I don't think they have a rest card. Well,
That's
they
true.
might, but so I figured Flame Demons. Flame Demons don't seem like they would have a rest card, but apparently they do, and they happen to pull it right on the turn. That
Yep.
you were going for what you were going. It was actually really cool. From
Yeah.
if I was a bad guy, it would have been really cool
Yeah,
to
that would
actually
have
see.
been. If you were the evil overmind, you would have been like, I play that real well.
I did.
Just gonna high five myself here.
I
So
did. But we had to get
um
Mark's donkey over it through a stun trap, and then I had to take in one of the eat the damage traps so that this thing could trek through hot lava. By the way, because of all the traps and everything going on, it had to go through the hazardous terrain to pick up this gold treasure tile. But then, yeah, you guys kill all the flame demons. Phil and I deal with the earth demons, and then yeah, it's happy days. It's walking. Well, it's basically seeing how many cards we've got left and whether or not we can actually make it back to the beginning. Here we
yeah,
go.
the end of it kind of feels like if they had made you watch the hobbits and the fellowship walk back from Mordor. right? But with zero interaction and any danger at all. It was just literally like an hour watching these people walk back. I mean, like,
Oh, well, we're
well,
looting
that was rough.
and
Yeah,
getting XP.
exactly. That's what I mean, right? So you get to see Frodo and Sam visit all the taverns on the way back and just have a drink and go to sleep and be like, that was rough, and hopefully we don't have to do that again. Right? That's what the end of this scenario felt like. And to make it worse, we were gaming the shit out of it, trying to get as much XP as we could. So you have to actually play it because we were all pretty confident we could get back. Um, so yeah, I feel like did you delete that part of the playthrough or did you put it at like 8 to 10 speed or
I
something like
deleted
that?
that part of the playthrough.
You did?
Yeah, as soon as we did it,
Oh
we're
no.
like, oh, fantastic. And then I cut it all out. I sat there and I just said, hey, we looted and took our time with this. So that's why this is doesn't exist. And then it
Yeah,
cuts
good.
straight to reading the ending bit. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was mega boring. So which is interesting because like if we refer to scenario whatever it was, the heist that you talked about earlier,
Mm.
one of the things that made that so hard that is like when you kill the crystal or when you go in that room, one of the two, I can't remember the
I think
trigger.
it's the ice pillar when you kill it.
Yeah, like everything explodes and there's this like shit everywhere again, right? So the hard part was getting back through the water and all that. This didn't have any of that, and I'm glad because I think we potentially would have failed it if we did. Like, because some of us were running really low on cards, but it was interesting because it didn't pose that extra challenge.
Mm.
Uh, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a world in which somebody just like zooms past everything, and so therefore that's there to I don't know. Anyway,
Well,
yeah.
hold that thought for a second. Let's jump into our thoughts on this scenario. What did you think about this scenario?
I mean, I had fun playing it, but I think that's just because I got to play some cards that I wanted to, and it went well. Um, I don't. Hmm. I'm in two minds of this, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but like, I really like the idea of what would you call them, like, the picking up and bringing back. What are they called? Like,
Heists?
yeah, heist. But what's the name of that
Well, you
in
got pick
in?
up and deliver, but I feel like
Yeah,
that the other scenario is like the water well one. Oh no, that kind of was as well, I guess. Yeah, okay. I just feel
yeah,
like there's some where it's like go and move something from here and place it over there, as opposed to getting in and out. But yeah, I don't know.
yeah. I don't. I'd like this idea, and I don't. And I think it's a good type of escape scenario that you have to escape back where you started. Like I like that idea. Okay. Escape scenarios always make me a bit more stressed because there's always this chance that you just accidentally fuck something up and now you're gonna lose it for everyone, right? So there's always that extra pressure of like, I kind of have to make sure I don't do anything too reckless. Which isn't that much of a problem with me because I'm usually not super reckless, but anyway. Um so I don't mind the idea of it, but I feel like it was like fun and stressful to a point, and then it was just done.
Hmm.
I don't know. That whole back end part of it kind of soured it, which is dumb because it shouldn't have. Because it only took us like 20 minutes, if that, to just move back and get a bunch of XP. But I feel like if it had ended when we picked up the orb, right, I wouldn't have felt like we'd lost anything.
Oh, the tension of being able to have enough cards, the stamina, the attrition of knowing, otherwise you'd blow everything getting the orb.
Maybe. I mean, maybe you can add that tension in by like if anybody dies before the orb is picked up, then you lose. I don't know. I'm not going to redesign the scenario, but yeah, I agree. Yeah, you would lose that tension, but I just feel like that was the part of like really finally getting there. Again, it's not to. It's like a Lord of the Rings reference. Like the whole peak of the stress is Frodo getting to Mountain Doom. It's not getting to Mountain Doom and then getting home in time for supper, right? Like,
Yeah, no,
so
it's a good take. It's a good take. I really enjoyed the scenario, but that's because I really enjoyed the heist, the one that we failed on. Right? I think it's because, and I've put it down to the group tension. It's similar to escape scenarios in general, where if anyone exhausts, we all fail. But it's not just a flat out escape. It's almost like, you go from A to B. As soon as you find the escape hexes, you know where there's the exit. We just need to find it and get out. It's more like we need to find the thing and bring it back. And I think that's what adds to the tension. Also, knowing that, this item based on the rules. You can't just transfer it to someone else and be like, hey, you go and carry this because I'm running out of cards and I need to spend it to move. It's almost you're all in on all of that. And knowing that one of us exhausting, because I was getting a little close towards the end and a couple of bad draws would have fucked it. And that wouldn't be the first time that that's happened in the heist scenario where I have booked it because I got a couple of unlucky draws that caused me to discard cards and not have enough to get out. So yeah, do you think that that mechanic of something as basic as if anyone exhausts in a scenarios like this, does that increases my enjoyment because of that risk and less, chaotic play style, I guess, or less, I guess, as part of that, almost like adding a +1 difficulty. That kind of stress makes us all come together and maybe cooperate a bit better.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I definitely think there's more cooperation and kind of consideration of what people are doing and how it affects other people and the overall scenario. And yeah, I think it's good. Like the increased stress, and it probably does account for some level of enjoyment because there's more on the line.
Mm,
Like it makes most turns matter, right? Because you need to be you need to be progressing towards the goal. And normally, even at minimum, if you're not killing anything or hitting the objectives, that means getting closer to where you need to be, right? So you can't just like, I didn't bring any move cards this game. So I'll get stuck in this one room for 10 rounds. That's a bad, right?
mm.
Because it means you're probably going to lose. Um, so yeah, I'd agree with that. And I don't dislike them. I think they do need to be few and far between, though. Not escaping scenarios in general, although maybe they do as well. But ones like this,
Yeah.
um, yeah, no, it's a good point though. Look, I enjoyed it. I had fun playing it.
Hmm.
I'm just like reflecting on the parts that I enjoyed, and it's like 98% of the enjoyment was getting to the orb, but the other 2% was just getting back. But you're right, if you don't have to get back, then maybe that 98% is a lot less. Like, well, the enjoyment of that 98% is a lot less because there isn't the stress of having to get back because you get there, which then becomes like a weird kill whatever you want and loot. And
Yeah.
then if you change it to have to kill everything, then it becomes a kill all with a thing at the end you have to pick up.
Yeah.
Right. Which we did. We did one like that. The one that had like the bear and that dropped out of the thing. That was a kill all, right? But we had the looter thing at the end.
That's true.
And so that was a different type of stress because that was like, oh shit, are we going to be able to kill everything in here? But so yeah, sorry, I'm just working through it all in my
No, no, no.
head. And yeah,
No.
I think you're right.
I think it's a mini topic we've just pulled out of our butt, and I'm enjoying it. I was gonna say what made this, I guess, memorable, and I don't know whether or not it's because the tension of if we mess this up, it's an exhaustion kind of thing because it's not a kill all. Is just there was a bit where Mark was like, the traps that messed you up and messed your turn up messed his turn up as well. And he's trying to plan around the whole getting the donkey to Mordor and
Mm.
drop the ring in the thing. But the traps and the hazardous terrain and the stun trap was everything was going against him, which was adding to his misery of this. And actively trying to help each other felt like it was just emphasized a lot more in this. When he turns to
Mm.
me and says, "Actually, then I'm like, can I help you in any way?" He's like, "No, you don't have enough cards to get back." It was kind of like that weird moment of, "Let me help you," and he's like, "No, you don't have enough cards to get back. Get away!" And I'm like, "No," and he's like, "Actually, can you step on that trap for me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I did, and I took the damage so that he could make his way through. But it's those moments of, can I do anything to help you? Your job is to do that. My job is to do this. Your job is to tank everything. Phil's job was to loot all the chests. Like
Yeah, that's it.
it,
That's it.
it kind of felt like a mini adventure. I don't know. It was just
Mm.
it is the most different scenario we've had, and easily in my top five. Just I think potentially more so for the experience or what it can provide our group as opposed to some of the standard kills that we've had lately.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. I think that's a really good point. And you're right, when you have, let's say, escape scenarios in general do this because there's a different fail condition, right? Of die not where you not in the right place. You didn't die in the right place,
Mm.
basically. It definitely does bring out a sense of like, hey, we need to work together because it doesn't in a kill all. You can just like go like, oh, I'm just gonna be real good, right? Like you talked about Mark. soloing a bunch of scenarios on the chain helm, right? Like he can do that on those ones
Yep.
because it's just like, wow, you guys, okay, you guys died, whatever. I'll just finish the scenario for us. Whereas that's not even an option on these ones.
Well,
So you can't be like, well, I did really well. What the fuck did you guys do? Because it doesn't matter. You're still replaying the scenario, mate. Doesn't matter how good you are. So
I mean, I'm playing a character that encourages burning cards,
yeah, well, that's
right?
true.
I couldn't do that towards the end of this because I needed to make sure I had the cards to go back. And that was my job. My job was to have
Mm,
less fun, but I mean, I had fun doing it anyway.
mm.
So yeah, it was really cool for that. And I just think that out of the scenarios we've had lately, it was a bit of a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good call, actually. It's probably made me realize that I did. I probably need to respect it a bit more. And maybe I put way too much weight on the. This is a boring walk back home. Where you're right. I think that like that was just like the oh well whatever. We got that done. We got a bunch of XP, but that probably enabled the scenario to have a lot more tension and teamwork. So
Yeah, I think the not to keep ragging on about it, but the boring walk home part, I think normally if you can math it out, yeah, it's pretty done and dusted. I think the extra puzzle of it was making sure that I mean you don't know if everyone can make it back. Everyone can tell you that they can make it back, but there's still a little bit of tension there. And then of course when you add in the I reckon I can get all those chests and all that, at least it added a
mm,
little something to it. But no, 100%, it's kind of boring to go through. But I think that we've failed the boring walk home from the other heists right at the end with I think you were one hex off the last spot or whatever because of something that happened.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I mean that wasn't a
Yeah,
boring walk home.
accident retaliate. Yeah, no. Yeah, so no, you're 100% right, and I think maybe that just triggered a memory. I think I've spoken about this before, maybe very rarely, but ages ago. One of the things that I hate the most about the Haven games, playing the Haven games, right? And this is a not a forced experience, but it's a player-based decision experience. So it's not the game's fault at all, right? It's not mechanic fault. It's just people. It's like optimizing the scenario to get as much shit out of it as you can once you've won it.
Yeah,
So like, hey guys, oh, there's 10 loot tokens on the table, and we've never done this as a group, really, right?
never.
But there's 10 loot tokens on the map still. There's one I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. Skeleton on 1 HP. None of us have retaliate. We have enough cards and heal. It can't kill us. So let's spend the next 10 turns walking around getting all the loot and then we'll kill him. Right? Get as much XP as you can without using attacks. Blah, 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 blah. Like, I remember playing digital and doing that a little bit and I hated it. Like, it felt so dirty and boring.
Mm,
Like, and so I feel like when I hear these variants of like, oh, we just collect loot tokens at the end, I'm like, I don't like that. I think but that for me is way better than having to sit through 45 minutes of doing that activity. If
mm,
you're going to get them anyway, right? I'd much rather you just house rule it. And this isn't even for me, it's just other people's enjoyment. Don't sit there for 45 minutes collecting loot. Like, and that's what maybe this just triggered some subconscious memory of that, of like,
yeah,
hey, let's spend 20 minutes. It wasn't that long, but 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever, getting back to this square and making sure we get as much XP and these chests.
yeah, that's fair.
So I think I have spoken about movement being one of my least interesting parts, what I think is least interesting parts of Haven, when it doesn't matter. Not tactically movement, but just like board movement of like, oh, cool, I got to cover these 20 hexes. See how many turns that takes me. And I think this is just adjacent to that. So
Man, he's got lightweight
yeah,
boots and everything, and he still hates movement.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Uh,
So
very quickly, just to finish off that scenario, Omi.
I mean, how we played it, I'm sure he's fine because everything died in the first room pretty quickly, and then it was a log jam. So
Exactly.
he
Well, he's
probably,
got A pluses in his deck, and
yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, he probably ends up getting to the orb before Mark did, like at the rate that Mark was moving. But
just just thought of that. When there's an ally, sometimes it uses the enemy AMD.
mm,
So if you put blesses into Orm's deck, there was no ally deck. So would you just be filling the monster deck for the blesses?
Yeah, I feel like in Crimson Scales, yeah, because they hadn't invented the ally deck yet, right?
Oh, but there were times where it was saying it can draw from any player's deck as well. So
That's
yeah.
true. But I'm not sure what that. Yeah,
But there were
I'd
definitely
have to know
times
that.
it was drawing from the same deck.
There was times because I think we had an instance where either
Like our ally
the mon
missed and it took it out of the monster deck and it was like, great.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, but I don't know what happens with those scenarios when they're drawing from an allied deck because I remember that it was like it can draw anywhere it wants. But I don't know what happens when you bless that person because they're not anyway. It's a sub rules question. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
interesting.
think he dies in the second room. Gets retaliated on over and over again from the frost demons. Because no
That's
one
true
else was
actually.
going in.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Let's finish up with a very relatively quick amDirt Diaries at the moment. Fill me in. Let's start with you. Let's fill us in. What's happening here? Why are we suddenly? What are we making use of? Has one card literally transformed you? I know you've been picking at items and slowly getting your items more
Mm.
tuned to what you're trying to do with the edge blade armor and heater shield and all these kind of things. But
I think it's been a bunch of little stuff. I think it's a small amount of increase in items. So yeah, having the armor and having slightly more shields from the armor, slightly more shields from the shield, combined with also being slightly higher level, has given me more hit points and more kind of tankiness in regards to items, and that's meant that I can actually go front line a bit more and dish out some damage with the retaliate.
hmm,
I'd say in the last two scenarios, having Mark being able to heal me makes a massive difference because we've never really had a healer. So it allows me to go, I'm going to go forward more knowing that I can do that. And now that I've got my own heal, right? And there's a weird cycle that I can do that if I do it right, I can get a lot of HP back in one turn, right? Like if it sucks for initiative, so I can't do it if I'm really low, which is why I didn't do it in the last playthrough. But I've got the new card that heals 5 with poison. And then I've got the anti venom, which basically takes off the poison, but it also heals me for 1 or 3 if I have grass. And then I've got the mixture potion, which heals me for 5 and gives me poison, right? And I've got my healing potion. So if I order that right, I can heal myself for like 16, I think.
hmm,
Right. And I do end that cycle with poison. Right. But that's not that bad.
no, that's pretty
Like,
amazing.
so like I think there's a world now with that plus other heals that I'm a bit more confident to be like, well, I can go in and I can take a dicking. And if I've got enough HP to go late in the turn, I can probably get myself right back up and then keep going. But I can kind of accomplish some things like that.
Yeah, okay.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I think maybe the other thing that might have changed, and this is a weird thought,
Can I
but
guess?
yeah,
Are you playing more around colonies now?
I am. And I think I can do that because of this thing. Everything's not dying as quick.
Hmm.
So you're insta killing most stuff, but you're generally insta killing stuff that's like not at the front, right?
I mean, it's the killing
It's
one thing,
no,
usually
but I mean
one thing, and then I'm going in
you're
there and hitting other things.
yeah, you're pumping damage though, right? Like you're killing stuff pretty quickly. Um, And but I think between me, Mark, and Phil, and kind of how we're playing, it's creating this little bit of a stuff is I don't want to say stuff surviving for longer because I don't think it's like we're doing worse, but it means that I can make use of the colonies. So having buffs that give me retaliate or give everyone retaliate or extra damage or whatever they might be. Um,
Yeah, we did talk about that as being one of the things that would probably make that a better play style. I have just only just realized that now that that's exactly probably what's happened.
mm. There's a little bit as well as like the play style of the chain helm was to like well the way Mark played it anyway was to like jump right in there, throw a bunch of traps down, swing people around. But it was like if you have a group of enemies, he wanted to jump on the other side of the enemies,
Mm,
right? Whereas the three of us more want to be a wave going at the enemies. And so I can place my colonies and we can kind of fight the wave that way. Whereas with the beetle, it was probably not super easy to be able to interact with the chain helm because it was usually a little bit ahead of me on the other side of the monsters. So colonies didn't really work properly because they're going to get stood on. I couldn't really grant him retaliate because he wasn't next to me. So it was kind of a little bit awkward in that regards.
Mm.
I could chuck heals on him, but he didn't need heals because he had his own heals. So I feel like the dynamic of the front line has changed a bit as well, which just means that I can probably make use of the cards. But then also we don't have level 7, 8, 9 chain helm just murdering everything instantly. So that's probably meant that things stick around. So yeah, I don't know. Overall, I think it's just a bunch of little things.
Does it feel good
Because that's
now?
like it does, and it never didn't feel good. I still feel like I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Like, which is kind of cool because it means that it's kind of like a Rubik's cube. I'm still trying to figure out, right?
Well, I think that probably makes it the best because you're not going through a pattern. You're not going through like the drill. You're not rinse and repeat. Is that
As
you've
soon as
got
just
options?
yeah. As soon as you said pattern, the drill came to mind. Yeah, and that's true. So yeah. All in all, I think I'm still enjoying it. I'm keen to find out when the spiders are because I hit 5 and they didn't come out. So
Yeah,
um
it's an interesting
uh
point.
so I'm really really excited. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm really liking Mark's. The synergy you guys have is really cool because of obviously not only the elemental synergy, but also your colonies affect him and his mount, and we've discovered that with the blessed thing, but also just with the healing one, and with the healing bees and all that kind of stuff, which is really cool. The other thing about the tusks that I'm really enjoying is the mount system, as bare basic as it looked originally. I think it's a really cool system because it looked really bare on paper of just mount and then go onto it and it moves, etc. But I think there's a lot of customizable options with how to play it and the way he's using the bull and now the mule. I mean, the mule's got 3 movements, so I can see why he's that's fixing the movement issues. But of course, it can't attack because it's a mule. But no, I think I'm really liking what I'm seeing with it, and I think Mark's making it interesting.
I 100% agree because I remember when we unboxed this and we didn't talk about it on the unboxing, but afterwards we did. It was just like, wow, this could be really boring, right? Like I don't see how this is fun, but hopefully Mark is finding it fun. But I could definitely looks like from the way he's playing it. Last scenario is different because he kind of got stuck a bit, but I think he still did pretty well. He's doing a lot with it. It's kind of like uh, a summon class, an adjacent summon class, right?
Mm,
Like it's not the Bone Shaper or whatever the summoner is called in Gloomhaven. It's probably called the summoner. I don't know. Where it's just like I'm just gonna pump out as many pets as I can, and then just hopefully they do heaps of cool shit, right? This is more a 1 or 2, and then he has cards. So
yeah.
it's yeah, I do. I think actually, yeah, seeing how it's being played, it actually looks a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
He seems to have also fairly like in the beginning he's riding the bull, and I think it's got attack 2 and push, but it's
Mm,
got consistent damage every single time it's his turn. His that and maybe the hound if it's out. He's pulling out 2 AMDs before it's even his turn, and then he gets to do what he's doing, which may involve healing or moving or commanding them to do another attack. But yeah, like I think being able to flip AMD cards as often as that is sometimes what people enjoy. Like he didn't get to
mm.
do that with his trap. So yeah, and even on the chain helm, sometimes he was doing more swinging and pulling and all that kind of stuff than he was attacking. So yeah, I guess to see just a bit more AMD fun.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And I mean, it become a pretty good target for throwing blessers in his deck as well, because buffing up those attack 2s.
And it's a very cool also, in that I think about it, the traps and hazardous terrain go to the mount. So he's got these other cool ways of avoiding taking the damage and the statuses from those things, which is really cool.
Yeah, which is something we just clarified. So yeah, no, I agree. What about you? How's the bleeding claw going?
Things are feeling more balanced. At least the last few thing from a sated point of view. I'm every single time we start a scenario, and I don't think the camera sees it, but I'm sitting there and I'm one by one putting all my cards out and trying to get a good balance for whatever the scenario goal is and whatever I need to bring. And then once I've done it, I go through it again and go,
Mm,
oh, I have like these sated abilities and no bottom sated abilities. And then at the end of every scenario, I'm like, okay, I need to change it up a little bit because the balance is a bit weird. I'm enjoying that. I was about to say, I'm really enjoying the necklace that I have because for some reason I thought that was built into the character just then. I was just like, I'm really enjoying that. It gives me really cool decisions of which lost card I want to get back. And it changes up on the scenario, whichever one I'm doing. Do I want to go invis twice or do I want to, no, that's just the bullshit necklace that I happen to be wearing. But
Yeah. Yeah.
burning decisions are fun. Uh, and I don't think I'm relying on the same opener every time now. I'm sort of
Mm.
looking into what my options are because a lot of that's going to be based on how much health everything has and how far away it is and whether I can get a condition on them because I'm now terrified of blowing massive cards without advantage.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah,
Because
from
statistics are, yeah.
from a non-person playing it, it does look like a bit, and I'm probably gonna people will rage at me or I'll cop a lot of hate for this, but it seems a little bit uh Geminate adjacent from a decision perspective on your turns, and also potentially level up. And the reason I say that is that the Geminate had a lot of burn cards, right? Like, I'm not talking about having two hands and all the mechanics of the character, but it had a lot of burn cards. It was like choosing, well, how many are you going to burn? Now, the point of it was having 14 cards, so you burn heaps all the time. That's the idea. But you still needed to make sure that you did them at the right time because you didn't want to just burn them because they were there. You wanted to have maximum impact. I feel like I'm seeing you making these decisions as especially on an escape scenario, but normally of like, well, I don't want to burn one every other turn just because, right? Because I want to make sure that the next turn that I've got sated, I'm able to really make use of one of the really good sated ability cards that I've got.
That is part
And
of the
that then
puzzle,
leads,
yeah.
yeah, that's the puzzle, right? And then, but that also then leads to interesting decisions around leveling up, which you probably don't feel for the first level or two, but I imagine again, going to the Geminate comparison, you had to pick the right cards because you were then kind of swapping out what you could and couldn't do with different forms. And your like level up cards might seem really easy for the Bleeding Claw in isolation of like, oh, this card looks bonkers amazing. Great, I'll just take that. But then you're saying at the start of the scenario, you're like, well, I can't just pick all real good sated cards, like, because then like they burn, but I don't have any follow up. So you actually have to take cards that aren't the really good burn cards in a sense, or not all of them anyway, because you need to have consistent cards that are going to let you to utilize that. So
Yeah.
that's
I
what I'm
see what you
seeing
mean.
from the outside, and that's the decision. And again, I'm sure people will say it's nothing like the Geminate, and I don't. It doesn't look like it plays like the Geminate, but some of the decisions are the same. It's like you can just burn all your good cards and be like, oh, I'm just super powered. And I mean, you could, but you probably like just exhaust really quickly. But I love the idea that yeah, you have to look and pick the cards that are like the supplement cards,
Yeah.
like. Oh, this card's fine. It's really good when I'm sated. Okay, so I need that card, but I need to make sure I'm sated into that card, which means I have to have the right build up, which is a cool puzzle.
It is. I think the burn cards are really fun. Obviously, burn cards in general are always going to be fun, and you always have fun playing them, but you can't play them over and over again. Obviously, so that's where deciding which one to use, deciding when I'm sated, which bonuses to get from the follow up turn, and then knowing for the rest of that rest cycle, I'm probably not going to burn another one unless I'm at the end of
Mm,
the scenario and I know that I can because I can exhaust or something like that. Which lately we haven't really had a lot of options for that. But actually, no, there've been a few instances of that recently. But yeah, I find that the first 2 or 3 rest cycles are sometimes quite tricky. And I'm 2 button memeing it basically of do I burn, do I not? And once I do get the first one and they get this is what's tilting is that I'll do a big hit, like the one that makes me go invis, Savage Stalker. I'll either kill it, hopefully, and go invis. That gives me the follow up that I like to use, which is Fatal Frenzy, the 2 attack 3s, hopefully
mm.
with advantage, or I think there's another one that I use, and I'll miss one of those hits, right? Or something will happen with one of those hits. And that's where I'm like, this just doesn't feel kind of right. And I know you guys are saying, oh, Dirty, you're doing a lot of damage and all that. Personally, it doesn't feel it because I'm seeing so many plus zeros and so many like nulls. And that's why it doesn't feel it compared to, I guess, what would happen if I wasn't missing anywhere near as much, or if the crit came out just a slightly bit more than the null was coming out, or empowers were coming out because I
Yeah, they
barely
don't.
see them, right?
Yeah, they don't
Despite putting,
exist.
I know I'm not putting up a shitload in, but I reckon by, I don't know, by halfway through the scenario, there might be 4 in there, but I don't see
Mm.
them. It's
Yeah,
doing my head in because at some stage the null will come out and I'll shuffle the whole thing up again, or I'll put another empower in and I'll shuffle it again. So it's kind of going from the vortex to this from an AMD point of view with the hits. The vortex was a lot of fun, especially with void sight, right? You could see this, and now I can't, and I'm constantly shuffling it. So yeah, I just very quickly, I personally enjoyed the puzzle of the vortex more because
yeah.
it's a builder spender, but I enjoyed what I was doing with it and how it felt to play. I'm a bit like you. I'm a bit burn adverse and not wanting to do it. And when I play a character that's centered around that, it's hard for me to let loose and enjoy it completely the way that I think other people can.
Mm.
And I think I'm enjoying the character. I'm enjoying the character and I'm having fun with it. And I like the moments where I get to, have a big turn and all of that. But yeah, I'm retiring soon. So I'm retiring very soon.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, the next one will come out soon.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah. So no, it has been fascinating to see, and I think in a similar way to the Tusk, and I know I've only seen two for that so far, but I think I underrated how interesting that would be. I say interesting. I haven't played it, but like how interesting it would be to options. I thought it was going to be very straightforward. Jump on mount, go kill stuff, right? And then that was going to be it. But at least the way Mark's playing it, it looks like he has variety. He's been doing a lot of different things and kind of doing a decent amount of damage and also while supporting and doing something. So it's been good, right? And I think so. I think I was off the mark with the initial unboxing or impressions there. I think that's the same with the Bleeding Claw, and I didn't think that it was going to be easy or not fun, but it definitely looked like I don't want to say like a just mash Q, right? Like it looked like, play your burn cards and then just do a bunch of damage. And I think it is that character. But there are more interesting decisions than I think it came out on the surface
Yeah.
because like the order in which you burn is important.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
What about Gemstone?
Oh, Gemstone, I'm enjoying the I'm calling it a builder spender, even though it's got the persistent thing, because of the way he uses that as a resource for everything. He's not
Mm.
using it for the damage mitigation unless he has to. And I think that's what's really fascinating about it, because his setups are great. He gets to move the persistent over to then trigger a bonus, whether it be turning a melee attack into a ranged attack or adding a condition or doing a push. The customization options are phenomenal. And he's just
Mm.
got all of these now stacking persistence due to, I think one of the cards is allowed to come out while there's another one out. So he's got more
Mm.
options. And then he plans for a big turn to do a big whatever, and then something hits him. And then he doesn't take any damage from it, and because he just moves a couple of these things across. And it's fascinating because yeah, it's
Yeah.
very fascinating until he runs out of persistence and then he gets chunked down because his health is quite low.
Yeah, it's really I agree. I agree with all that, and it's the hilarious moments are when he does get hit really hard, and we're like, ooh, it's like six, and he's just like, moves his things back and ward and one shield or whatever. He's like, none damage, and I was like, oh wow, that's awesome. And he's like the saddest panda in the
Yeah,
room, right? And you're like, okay, sure, don't take 6 damage. I'm really sad about that, but that's funny. The thing is I can see if I was playing that, I would be playing it very differently, and I actually feel like he's found a really good um flow to it. Like he doesn't want to get hit because it basically him getting hit
it's a
reduces his
DPS
offensive
loss.
power. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
And what I like that he's the way he's playing it in that he is doing quite like he's every scenario, at least for the last 3 or 4, he's had some pretty big
oh
turns.
yeah,
Like turns that have really been clutch and like pumped out damage in the right areas at the right times. and he's doing it in a way where he's really not at risk. Like he did drop a bit low in this last one because we kind of both got into that cluster fight with the wind demons, which were hitting two things and blah blah blah. But I think overall it was yeah he's doing really well with it. But it's really fascinating because I'd probably be playing it more defensively,
Mm,
and I feel like I would be having less fun with it.
yeah.
But
I'm
I don't
so
know
happy
because
he's gone offensive with it and just gone into a DPS with it and hasn't
hmm,
gone with the, I guess, obvious,
yeah.
defensive properties of it.
Yeah, totally, totally. Although I'd like to explore because I know there's some of those cards, the defensive cards that do different things when you've got them active. But yeah, it's very interesting because I could see it being hard to keep the crystallize things up if you were trying to even remotely frontline, because you just get pummeled.
Yeah. Do you think that that's a character that you would end up picking up at some stage? Not in this campaign because there's going to be too many characters, but I can
Mm.
see that being one that it would be revisited because there's this whole other playstyle that has been untapped,
Mm.
and it would be interesting, right? It'd feel like almost like a completely different character.
Yeah, if we had no new characters to unlock in CS and we're still going to play another two or three characters, that would probably be out of all the ones we've unlocked so far, the one that I'd be the most interested to give a go.
Mm.
Like that we've seen so far, which is not heaps, but like yeah, I definitely think it's one of the ones that, regardless of seeing it, because that yeah, so
Yeah, I think
definitely.
that yeah, yeah,
Well,
definitely.
that's a TOA one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Because I don't see it come up very often in people's conversations about like classes they really like, and I wonder if that's why.
Mm.
Maybe it's something one that not everyone has played with because it's not base CS.
Mm.
So uh, yeah, but I know I still have heard some people talk in positively about it, but I'm just thinking that I haven't seen it at the top of people's list of like, oh, I'm going to play blah. So
Mm.
yeah,
Have you almost retired?
has he almost retired?
No, 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 you. I assume he has.
Hey,
Yeah.
oh, ish, like 60%, 70% maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Do you
But I based
can't?
on my PQ, I that could be this week or it could be 2026.
Oh, juicy. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to when we guess what Phil's PQ is and whether or not.
Whether or not we're 100% correct.
Yeah. I wonder how close he is. I haven't asked him.
I don't know. I think he deliberately stopped for a bit and then like just started up again, and we're like, but he keeps reminding us.
Yeah, he does. It's
Like
just
it's like
because he's
like
not
the
sure.
worst.
The
It's like
worst
the
kept
worst
secret
secret ever. Yeah. Hey, what's your secret PQ? I'm not going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you every time I take an action that achieves me some like progress towards it. And you're
for
like,
some
oh,
unknown personal reason.
that's telling us. Yeah. So
There was I'm glad he's enjoying it because I think he is enjoying it because he's doesn't want to touch the flask anymore. I think flask is shelved.
or do you think that means he's enjoying it, or he's just not enjoying it more? So he's like not enjoying it as much as he didn't enjoy the flask. I don't know if that's too many double negatives, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah,
No, I think he's enjoying this now at the moment. He's definitely well, he's getting to flip his AMD and do a bunch of damage, and that's what we know Phil loves to do. So I hope he is because he looks like he's having fun and he's doing really well in the scenarios. So
yeah. No, well, Phil, you can have bleeding claw when I'm done with it because except he will not be burn averse. He'd be like burn, burn, burn. Yeah, this is fine. Burn, burn. I'm exhausting. He would. You realize that?
100%, 100%. Yeah, I'd be a bit worried what happened if he played that. Um, yeah, we definitely would have to ask him not to come if we were doing an escape scenario.
Yeah.
Like Phil, sorry, we're playing with three people this week. If this is an escape one, we just don't think that you'll be able to make it through.
Absolutely. Uh, let's wrap it up. Wrap it up there. Thank you again for joining us for another episode of amDirt. Next week we'll be at Game Mania, enjoying our weekend, I guess, holiday away, playing board games and getting away from the big bad world. So yeah, I don't think we'll have an episode, but we'll have something in the pipe in some capacity.
Yeah, yeah, we'll try and make up for it with something. I won't say interesting because that's obviously very subjective, but we'll definitely do some talking. And
We
you
will
may or
do
may
some
not find it
talking.
interesting. Yeah. So, but we'll be back probably Because it also means we're going to miss our normal play session.
Yes.
Because the days it falls on. So we're probably going to be a couple of weeks before we have a playthrough and or a pod episode relating to Haven stuff. So,
True.
but we'll try and get some stuff done in between then.
Yep. Sounds good. Well, with that, I've been your host, Eddie, and I've been joined again by birthday boy Gaz.
And remember, when it comes to rolling terribly, it's all in the wrist.